Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. DraftKings Week 2 kicks off really soon. So I'm going to take a whole bunch of NFL DFS Week 2 questions from my chat live here on Twitch. I stream 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, and then Sunday mornings, 45 minutes before kickoff, I am live. So be sure, if you're watching this video, to drop into the Twitch stream. There's a link right down below. If you click show more on the description, that has links to all my socials, the Twitch stream, the charity that we have, No Kid Hungry, where as you can see, we're trying to raise $25,000 this season for No Kid Hungry, and we're at like 82 something hundred right now. Like, this is ridiculous. You guys have been extremely generous. So thank you very much. Both the Twitch community and the YouTube community. You guys are killing it. So let's keep it up. I thought 25,000 was going to take 17 weeks. You guys are on pace to get there by like week 7. So thank you so much for the generosity, and let's keep that going. But I'm going to take these questions for the next 45 minutes to an hour. Any type of questions that they have, cash game, tournaments, game theory, lineup builder, how do I do this in an optimizer, any questions that they have, or slate specific things, we're going to go over everything for the next 45 minutes. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, make sure you ring the notifications bell so that you get notified anytime that I put out new videos, 7 days a week this season on YouTube. And there's more than 7 videos because the showdown videos sometimes will give me a double upload day. So tons of content here on YouTube. Thank you very much. Leave a reply down below, and let's talk about this weekend slate and the replies as well. Other than that, let's hit it.
He's a legend.
As I said in the intro, we're trying to raise $25,000 this season for No Kid Hungry. Be sure that you look down below in the description. There is a link to the charity through Tiltify that you can donate. It'll log everything. It's all tax deductible. Anything that you donate, every dollar helps. Be a part of something that's bigger than yourselves, as 1 in 6 kids in America suffers from food insecurity. And No Kid Hungry does a great job of providing food via school breakfasts, school lunches, and at-home care for kids and families who are food insecure. Our Friday show brought to you by Establish the Run. Link down below in the description, as well as a link to our Smiz Gang Listener League. You get 10% off of that ETR subscription. Great projections, great content over there at Establish the Run. And our Smiz Gang Listener League is about to fill. Let me refresh this and see exactly where it is. 2,063 entrants of 2,500, $10 entry fee, 3 maximum entries. That's all there is. 3 max and absolutely no rake. So the best tournament that you can get into are the lower rake tournaments. This one has no rake, so it's a knower rake tournament. Get yourselves in there, 3 lineups maximum, and compete against some of your community members here on YouTube and on Twitch. Let me bring in the chat, see how they're doing today. Thoughts? God, I hate you guys. Can we go back to Tyrod this week? Like, do we really want to do that? Like, I don't hate anything. And in terms of tournaments, if you can rationalize that something is has a possibility of happening, then go for it, right? But you're gonna have to find a stack or a double stack. You're gonna have to find a bring back. I'm gonna talk on Saturday's video about my 5 under 5, and there's some like shocking names on that list that I thought were projected to be under 5% in the Millionaire Maker in tournaments this weekend. If they are going to be overlooked, that's a little bit ridiculous. And one thing happened last week that I did want to discuss on this video, on FanDuel specifically. Odell Beckham Jr. was out. And we talk about having stacks, double stacks with a bring back player from the other team. So Patrick Mahomes stacks or double stacks, Mahomes to Hill to Kelsey. You should have somebody, or have had somebody on Cleveland in those stacked lineups. Well, if you figure out that like Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry were very reasonable bringbacks in the passing game for Cleveland, and one was priced, Odell was priced at $6,500 and Jarvis Landry was priced at $6,400. And then when Odell Beckham Jr. was named inactive, or, you know, they mentioned him as being inactive 90 minutes before the late games, everybody who had an Odell Beckham Jr. lineup looked for pivots. Well, the most reasonable pivot was to just quick swap all of your lineups down to Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry was only 5%. He was only 5% with all of the OBJ population shifting onto him late. So like, even these very obvious tournament style plays still carry a low percent in tournaments and give you an opportunity to be right about one thing is when everybody else is trying to make four things. How do you decide when to double stack or when it's a single stack is enough? So like my philosophy is I want to double stack all the time this year. In the past, I used to single stack. Sometimes I would double stack, but like the point is not, how can I phrase this properly? The question that you get asked when you're in my position is it viable? Can this quarterback sustain a double stack this weekend? And so people think reasonably about that. And they say, well, no, this quarterback probably is not going to be able to do that. You don't care about the probably when you're building tournament lineups. You care about the could be. You care about the what if. You care about the probability of that quarterback having a tournament winning day. And a tournament winning day, to me, is defined by the quarterback's efficiency. And if they're efficient, they're going to throw for a lot of touchdowns. So looking at the quarterbacks that we had last week, who are on this week's slate, right? So like Kyler Murray. What were the odds that Kyler Murray was going to throw for 4 touchdowns last week? Probably greater than the amount of people who played stacks of 2 with Kyler Murray. Same thing goes for Russ Wilson. Well, I don't know if Russ Wilson's going to throw. I don't know if he can sustain 2 pass catchers. What about Jared Goff, who ended up winning the Millionaire Maker? No, so not the Millionaire, but the Smiz Life or the Smiz Gang Listener League last week was won by a Jared Goff stack, double stack, because if he has that day and that stack is lower played, has a lower percentage, then the probability of that quarterback having a ceiling day, if they have their ceiling day, then most definitely they can sustain a double stack of pass catchers with them. And if they do that, the other team is also probably having somebody that's going to have a good day. So your bring back player creates a situation where if you're right about the ceiling probability of that one stack and you leverage the field by overplaying it versus the field, right? There's easy ones, right? Dak Prescott, Kansas City Mahomes stacks, Herbert this week against them. But they're not the only ones, right? We talked about in the top stacks video too. There's how many quarterbacks on this slate? 26? If you can think of any way that a quarterback is going to throw for 3, 4, or 5 touchdowns, figure out the guys that are going to be on the other end of those touchdowns. And if you have both of them, that combination is going to be really low played. And if the higher played stacks don't pan out, you're going to zoom past all of them and give yourself a chance to win. And that's how that Goff stack worked last week. And people will overthink it at the popular stacks too. Last week, the Kansas City double stacks were like way lower because everybody talks themselves off it like they're the dude from The Princess Bride. I clearly can't play the stack in front of me. There are 7 viable double stacks. Sure. But like also forget about viability. So in the way that we normally think about viability, right? So Houston, let's take a look over here and let's refresh Fantasy Labs. Thank you. That took forever. Like in streamer time, that took forever. So they have a team total of 17.5, do the Texans. They're not supposed to score a lot of points. So this is a dangerous stack. But what percent is that stack going to be owned? And a lot of people are going to be on Cleveland. Nick Chubb, one of the best plays on the slate. If people are going to pivot off him, maybe to go to Kareem Hunt. The pass catchers, DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones, or Jarvis Landry, or Hooper, or double stacks. Considering that they have a total of 30, that means they're going to score some touchdowns, presumably. And it's not going to be the defense or the fullback all the time or the third string tight end. So people are going to load up on Cleveland, but like there's a way to play the other side of that and then come back. But it's not going to be super popular and it's not going to be very played. One, because the team total is like the lowest on the slate. They aren't playing Jacksonville's defense. Cleveland does have a very good defense. And like the afternoon games are amazing. I want to put this above my head, but like 54, 53, 54, 52, 51. These are the late games. I hate to inform any of you, but if you're in first place at the end of the 1 p.m.s, you're probably not going to hold. You're not. If you don't have PMR as your friend this week, you're going to have to hit something. You're going to have to hit something from the early games. But there's going to be so much PMR chasing you down that you're going to be like Jon Snow in the battle of the and you're not going to win. Imagine if Jon Snow died in that battle. That particular, imagine if the horses killed him in that gif of him pulling the sword and, you know, with 1,000,000 horses running him down. Like, and then it just ended, he died and then fade to black. Like, that's going to be the lineups that have no PMR. You're going to be drawing dead. Wouldn't fading the late games give you an instant edge? There's too many. There's too many. You're going to want to... Is Nick Chubb Sansa Stark? God damn it. So, like, you're going to want to have some exposure to guys in this game. And, like, in these early games, Denver's got some options. If you want to go with a couple of guys on Jacksonville, or your secondary stack is there, or your one-offs are from there. Buffalo, I know that Josh Allen is going to be a favorite this week. Let me go back to that page. People are going to be on Cleveland because 30 is a really high team total. Even including these late games, there's only 2 teams that have a 30 total in those late games. So, like, Cleveland going to be very popular. 26 is solid in this spot as well. 24, 25s, you know, Ram stacks are going to be popular in this spot. Colts did not look good against the pass. If he passes for 4 touchdowns, Rams double stacks with a Colts bring back could very viably be something. Najee Harris is going to be in that spot with a total of 26 at home, favored against the Raiders in a 1 p.m. game, traveling across the country on a short week of rest, bleh, all the Ace Rothstein stuff, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff. Cardinals 27.5, Minnesota projecting to be underplayed. They're 4 p.m. though. But you get my point, right? There's definitely places that we can attack, and we're going to attack. But, like, you could fade one, but I don't think that fading all 5 of these games that have a total of 50 is going to put you in a better spot to win. Maybe I'm wrong. Harris getting 30 touches? Maybe. That's my answer for everything usually, is just maybe. This guy's going to go off. Maybe. Or we'll see. Here's a question. Week we like with a lot of big point potential. How heavily do you weight the number 1 stacks or plays on my board? My philosophy typically is don't overthink. Right? You don't have to play the chalkiest chalk of all time that ever chalked. But it's more about the collective percentage that your lineup has instead of the single player, right? The single player is not something that you have to fade. So, like, the highest played running backs that project right now based on, like, the 3-4 sites that I kind of look at are like Chris Carson, Najee Harris, Ezekiel Elliott, Damian Harris is up there. Like, these are the guys that are going to be pretty popular, right? Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Keenan Allen, Jamar Chase is going to be popular. Like, those are the guys that should have the highest percentage. And you can still have exposure to them in tournaments as long as you're differentiating either with your secondary stack, your one-off, something else. Or using the collective percentage of the quarterback double stack bring back as a way to negate that one single 25 to 30% player in your tournament lineups. Because you don't have to, like, there's no prize for having the lowest cumulative percentage. Just stay under 130 total. You know, just stay under 130. Which chalk player this week do I think is going to bust? I don't know. I never have that. I don't think about things that way, I guess. Right? Like, we're all trying to predict the future, but I'm also not trying to, like, fully predict the future. I'm trying to leverage spots. I'm trying to put myself in a roster build that other people aren't looking at. You want to know the easiest way to get contrarian this week? Just play Christian McCaffrey. It's not that difficult. Like, look, want to get really contrarian this week? You think people are going to play MARQUEZ CALLAWAY? Now you've got a secondary stack that might be in total cumulative between these two players, maybe 13%, maybe 15%. Am I okay with CMC and Kamara in the same lineup? That's a good question. Normally, I will not play two running backs from the same game. But these two aren't running backs. These are basically wide receivers. So if one of the teams is doing really well, if New Orleans is running away with this game, they're up 12, 14 points, Christian McCaffrey is going to get more targets. And Kamara is probably going to have done some things offensively. If New Orleans is behind, then that means Christian McCaffrey probably did some things, and now they're going to throw the ball more to Kamara. So this is a different spot. These two are just different animals. They're just built different than most other running backs because, yes, he only got 4 targets in week 1. But he's going to profile more like Christian McCaffrey in the 9 targets that he got in week 1. McCaffrey should out-touch Kamara in most weeks. McCaffrey's going to get, 23 to 28 touches every single week and probably 30 opportunities most weeks. More than half of the weeks this season. Opportunities being carries plus targets. Kamara is probably going to get 23 to 25 opportunities each week, as they typically have kept him between 12 and 15 carries a week, where McCaffrey gets more of a load on the ground, but Kamara gets those inside the 5 carries. McCaffrey gets those inside the 5 carries. They both get 20+% of the target market share on their team. Christian McCaffrey had more catches for Carolina in week 1 than anybody else on that team had targets in week 1. Oof. Is Waddle overpriced at 4.5K? I think that's going to be an interesting decision that we're going to have to make this week because Will Fuller is out with personal issues this morning for Sunday. That came out this morning. We don't know what they are yet. Maybe by the time you watch this video, you're going to know what they are. You don't have to put it in the replies. I hope that everything's fine with Will Fuller and his family. I wish him the best and the quickest return possible to doing what he does best, which is playing football. But you got to work on the real life, and real life always comes first. So hopefully it's nothing that's too sad or too serious and something you can recover from quickly. But from a daily fantasy point of view, Jaylen Waddle's in basically the same position that he was back in week 1. So like now we have Jaylen Waddle in a spot where he's going to play basically all of the snaps and be the secondary receiver on the other side of Devontae Parker against a Bills defense that is better in name than they are or have performed in reality against opposing passing attacks. And if nothing else, Miami showed a ability to get Waddle the ball in some very creative spots. A very good route runner who has big splash ability. We saw him catch a 36-yard pass last week. He can get there for you in one play. A 60 to 65-yard or whatever touchdown is never off the table for Jaylen Waddle, similarly to the way that it is with Will Fuller. So if you have a guy now who is going to get an increased volume of snaps, run an increased volume of routes, get an increased volume of targets, in what scripts to be a faster paced game than the one last week against New England, Jaylen Waddle's at an awkward price. He's at an awkward price. And I don't think that he's going to be super popular this week, but he is certainly should be somebody who's in play for you in tournaments. Like, he should be in play. I'm not saying he's a must play. I'm not saying you have to play him. I think that's the way you need to think about your tournaments. Playing guys that are... Be contrarian without being stupid, right? Be contrarian with somebody who's going to play a lot, who has access to a ceiling. Is Kenneth Gainwell too thin for tournaments? 4K got 11 touches. Yeah, I think that's too thin. Right? Like, I don't really want to play the backup guys. Now, while I'm really encouraged for anybody who had the faith to draft Kenneth Gainwell in like the 17th, 18th rounds in drafts during best ball season on DraftKings or Underdog or Drafters or wherever you're playing for your 0 RB builds or as your RB 5 or 6, then great. You're getting great possibility there because you don't have to pick the weeks where he's going to play for you. If he has a big week, he's just in there. But I don't know if I want to spend allocation on Gainwell, right? Like he's super cheap at running back, right? Like he's way down here. Isn't he like 4K? Yeah, Gainwell's 4K, right? But like Javonte Williams is 4,400 and played half of the running back snaps for Denver in week 1. They square off against Jacksonville. Again, running backs on the road, not usually something that we want to focus on, but if this Jacksonville defense is as porous against the run as it has been in previous years, a lot of signs pointing to, or a lot of people pointing to Melvin Gordon as being the better back right now, but he was the better back in week 1 only because he sprung a 70-yard touchdown run. Their usage was extremely similar. Their snaps were right down the middle, 50-50. And while Melvin Gordon is a solid professional running back at this point in his career, the more electric option is Javonte Williams. And if the scripts were flipped and it was Williams who ran for a 70-yard touchdown in week 1 and Melvin Gordon who did not run for a 70-yard touchdown in week 1, then everybody would be saying that one is a smash play, that Javonte is a smash play and Melvin Gordon's not. The difference for me is Melvin Gordon's 5,900 for half the snaps versus 4,400 for Javonte Williams. So, like, if you wanted access to that backfield, knowing that they're coin flipping right now, getting access to Javonte as opposed to Melvin Gordon is probably the way that I would prefer to go. All the Javonte this week, that's a lot. All is a lot. Do I count for any of Levitan's proprietary models? The size model, the age model? I believe he now has a Bible slider, right? A shower slider, a Bible slider. For those who don't know, Adam Levitan is one of the founders of Establish the Run. Click down below. Use promo code SMIZLIFE at checkout. Get yourself a 10% discount to a new subscription to EstablishTheRun.com. Russ and the Bible narrative. There's so many good plays this week. There's so many. How many of you guys are playing cash? Because like I'm getting people in the replies like, you know, more people play cash games in tournaments. You should really do more cash game content like you used to. You did on First Look. I'm like, you realize that's not true? Like I know the numbers. And more people play tournaments than cash games. Like there's no doubt that more people still play cash games, but more people play tournaments than cash games. Like that's like we know that, right? We know that more people play cash games. Can we just admit to that? Like we know that, right? You play cash, but you're here to learn GPPs. Like to me, cash games are fine. I like cash games, but like I just don't play them anymore because I can't get the allocation of money that I need to get in cash games. Cash games is very straightforward. Go to the lineup builder that you're going to use, hit projected points or floor, and then optimize. You know, set up the rules that you want to set for your cash games and then optimize. Like you're going to play a cheaper quarterback. You're going to play some high volume wide receivers. You're probably going to get some mid-range. You're going to get a very balanced looking lineup unless you want to lock a specific player. But like a cash game build this week is not difficult to come up with. Like where are cash games going to go this week? Probably like here. Probably here. You know, like probably like, because you're going to play 3 running backs, right? Probably those 2 spots, and then like maybe Montgomery against Cincinnati. Maybe they'll pay up for one of those other guys. Cooper Kupp is probably going to be the most played receiver in cash. People are probably going to have some access to CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper. Tight end is going to be one of these cheapy guys, whether it's going to be Fant or Higbee or Jared Cook, you know, whichever one you want there. Quarterback is in this range, whether it's Dak or Herbert or Jalen Hurts, probably Herbert. Like, is that, that's your cash game lineup, basically. Rumpelstiltskin, thank you for the 12 months. Hey, chat. 12 months divides by 12. Do I optimize all my GPP lineups by ceiling only? I kind of run a few different things. I never run one run on an optimizer. So I'll run and I'll tag them and I'll sort them. And I like to see the differences between them. I like to see where the different builds overlap, because I want floor plus ceiling. So if you run, or not floor, for cash, I want floor and ceiling. So like if you run like a lineup of 10, right? How do I go about this? Let me bring this up. So if we go over to like Fantasy Labs, right? And we run on projected points. So this is median projection. And we generate basically no rules, right? I'm not using like my rules for tournaments here, but if we run like 10 optimized lineups, that would be projected points. So then I'm going to put median, right? I'm going to add this tag. I'm going to save those lineups. And then I'm going to have it run floor, generate, run 10 more lineups, right? I'm going to tag these floor, add tag, save lineups. Come back over here to the optimizer. I'm going to run ceiling, generate, same thing. I'm just having it run 10 lineups, right? And then I'm going to tag these as ceiling, add tag, save lineups. And I'm going to see which ones overlap, right? Sort by projection, right? Not much overlap in those three things. Sometimes what you're going to end up getting is, oh, some are unassigned. Did I not save the floor, ceiling, median? No, that saved all three. Typically, you can find the highest one. So based on like rating, and that's going to determine what your model, you know, like I have a tournament model in there, so it's going to rate for ceiling. Projectable floor, this is going to have the highest floor. Prescott, Kamara, Harris, Cooper, said, whatever, you know. Ceiling. And what I like to do is try to find lineups that are going to show up in multiple tags there, right? I want ones that are going to tag with median plus ceiling. I want a high median projection with also access to a high ceiling, because that gives me a good balance for like a cash game. So like, even if I'm only entering one lineup, and when I was playing cash games, I was always just entering one lineup, right? Across the hundreds of cash games that I was playing. I was looking for a combination of floor plus ceiling. Frostbite says you'd like to add one in ceiling number 1, ceiling 2, ceiling 3, then resort, tag again. Yeah. I do all those things. So like if I showed you my week 1 lineups that I built on Fantasy Labs, you'd see I played 150 lineups, but like in the optimizer, I had like 700 something lineups saved. And then you just download by the tag you want, right? Like you come over here to download files, and it's like, okay, well, I want to, if I'm going to enter these 10, let's say I was doing this for tournaments and there was 150 of each. I could say, okay, well, just download the ceiling. Anything with a ceiling tag. That's why you tag all your lineup runs. You don't just save them. You tag them. So you can then say, okay, well, so I'll save like a Friday night, and then I'll do a Saturday morning, then a Saturday night, then Saturday night floor, Saturday night ceiling, Sunday morning then, and then final. And then I'll download the ones that I want. Right? And that makes it much easier for you to do. Defense is your biggest lineup struggle this week. It should be one of your biggest lineup struggles every week, to be very honest with you, because there's so much variance. To try and cut down the amount of time and energy that you spend selecting a defense, I would suggest paring down your list of possible defenses to the ones that project to get an awful lot of pressure. Pressure on the quarterback is the easiest and simplest predictor, right? Predictive, not descriptive, of defensive scoring and success. Just play the Broncos defense. I mean, play the Broncos defense like every week, right? But like if Bradley Chubb is out, that's a different story. Jets defense and send it every week. Good defensive line. Vikings, good defensive line, bad matchup. But like defense is typically the last thing that I put in. I find the highest pressure defense with the best D-line, O-line matchup or win rate with the amount of money that I have remaining. And for tournaments, I play a smaller group of defense. We talked about this on the head-to-head battle with Jeff El Jefe, that I don't really play a whole lot of defenses, where he's like, yeah, I would play like 20 defenses when I was max entering. I'm like, yeah, I play like 5. Because two different philosophies, we have the same endpoint that we want to get to, but we're taking 2 different paths to get there, you know, kind of like what politics should be. Totally different story. He likes to say, look, I don't know which one's going to go off, so I'm just going to play all of them. And I say, okay, I don't know which one's going to go off, but I'm going to focus on these 5. So when one of them does, I'm going to be massively overweighted versus the field when my one goes off, and give me the best chance to win a tournament. Because the easiest way to leverage in tournaments in 2021 is to have a tight end and a defense that both go off on the same day. Those are the 2 positions that typically have the widest spread between number 1 and number 5. So if you have the number 1 tight end on the week and the number 1 defense in the week, and you've overweighted the field on both of them, every lineup of yours that has both of them in it has a much better chance to win than any of the other lineups that you have built that day. Need my help on the TOC tiebreaker on this Monday night showdown. What? I don't get it. You split the thing, and like to win a Tournament of Champions ticket, you have to win like you and 500 people or something. You're seeing Matt Ryan around 1 or 2% against a great run D. Pass funnel defense. What are you missing? Nothing. You actually like the Vikings versus Arizona? It makes sense. Kyler's going to score. He is, but that offensive line allows a lot of pressure. And if they can like just grab him, those are free points. You won Showdown last night. 13 people tied. So you won that. Didn't you split that with Peta? Didn't Hoop win that one also? So you won 100K last night? Mike? Is that what you're telling us in chat? I'm waiting for the answer. Mike won $99,000 last night, y'all. Just casually waltzes in here and says, I won $99,000. Didn't like blow up Discord last night or nothing. I mean, congrats on the sex, dude. Baby number 2 on the way. Just casual. Yeah, I'm in the Tournament of Champions next Monday. Love to see it. She is pregnant actually, so no sex. That doesn't make sense. This is a whole other show. Now we're getting into Levitan's territory. Now we're getting into like Gender Labs things. Like when the dude won the Millionaire Maker last year and just came in and goes, hey, guys, I won the Millie last night. What? You did what now? That's a solo pod question. Yes, it is. Oh yeah, guys, guess what? I won 100K last night. Congratulations. Love to see it. I mean, look, like, feel free to snipe 10K. You know, it's right there. Just Exclamation point charity in the just snipe the 10K mark. Which KC offensive lineman is going to ruin your Sunday night showdown? I can't wait for this Sunday night showdown. Sunday night showdown is going to be fun. Baltimore against the Chiefs. Ooh, boy. I don't do a video for Sunday night. So, like, y'all should get in Discord. Again, there's a link down below. Click show more. If you are a channel member here on YouTube, click the join button, become a channel member, and then you get access to all the sub-only rooms. The subs NFL room, Mike kind of hangs out in there a lot, always talking about every showdown. Once I get the wire, we'll do. Bang, bang. Let's go. Pestily did a thing in Veritas. Veritas does all the music. Go look up Veritas Games on YouTube if you guys are watching this on YouTube. He did like a thing for the donation response where he was like saying, another one doing it for the kids. Subs NFL is on fire. It is. We had multiple winners in Subs NFL last night. It was amazing. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Mike has spent so much time working on like his showdown game. He won one last year, but split it with a bunch of people. So the fact that he was unique last night, or like I said, you don't have to be like a solo winner, but like if you win, funny, we talk about this on the videos a lot. When you win, you want to win with like, if you're going to split it with like 10 to 20 people as opposed to 500 to 1,000 people. So that's awesome. Spent $9, 110. You're banked for the weekend. Let's go. So we actually got to do an underdog fantasy thing, don't we? I wanted to do this at the top of the show, but I'm old and I forget. We got to do a pick'em on underdog. For those of you guys who do not know, Underdog Fantasy has Pick'em this year. All you have to do is go over to their site, click Pick'em right here on the top bar, click NFL to sort by that. There's Pick'em for soccer and MLB and golf. They also have this Rivals one, which is neat, where you're comparing different players against each other. They don't have the NFL ones up just yet because it is Friday. They will have them by Saturday night. So let's take a look at a Pick'em. We're going to play a 3X. And I'll start tracking these to see how we do. Use promo code ALSMIZZLE, one word, ALSMIZZLE on sign up, and you get on your first deposit a free $25 deposit in your account. I also get $25. Win-win for both of us. You can play it on these cards. So let's see who we got here. Let's try and correlate one, right? So like if we're going to play like a Bridgewater stack, we would want to bring back player on Jacksonville. Typically, we can find ones early in the week that might be a little bit low. Tua 17.8 points. Gaskin 64.5 total. Waddle over. Gaskin over. Ooh, Singletary. Is Singletary under? Is that the one? Is that going to be the one? Or should we just do that? Should I go with a 2 or a 3, chat? 2 or 3 here? A 3? Oh my God, chat, you guys. I hate betting unders. I hate unders. All right, I'm going to keep these in mind. I'm probably going to do this. Okay, so like, I'm going to put that in there for now. I'm going to look at some other ones. Tyrod Taylor, 248 total yards. That's passing plus rushing. Baker, 20 points. Landry, 6 or more receptions. Chubb, 89.5 rushing yards. That one's dangerous. Jamar Chase, 62. Dalton, 16. Blech. David Montgomery, 86 yards. That seems low. It's like the NFT version. Like, seems rare. Looks rare. God, that Jalen Hurts over was ridiculous last week. Marquez Callaway, over 3.5 receptions. Man, you know he's getting over 3.5 receptions this week. Sam Darnold, 15.85 points. Over. Darnold, Callaway, McCaffrey, 3 overs. Nobody coming back in this game. Waller, 7 receptions. That's a tough mark. What else do we have? This one, New England, Minnesota, Arizona. This one's interesting. Justin Jefferson, 76 receiving yards. Thielen over 5.5, I think it would be where I'm going to go here. Thielen, Cousins, Chase Edmonds over 72.5. Like, I like that one too. I'm going to do 2 tickets. Okay, so we're going to do this one. And y'all want me to track these. So I'm going to put this one in, enter amount, 25 hooves to win 150. That's 1 unit. I'm using 25 as 1. So there's my first ticket. There it is, right there. Boom, second ticket. Let's come down here to where we were before. Way down here. This one's an interesting. Oh, God, they got a lot from this game. There's so much going on there. Give me Kirk Cousins over. Give me Adam Thielen over 5.5 receptions. I like Justin Jefferson this week too. And Chase Edmonds, based on the information that we saw in that ESPN Plus column the other day that had this team, Arizona, with a massive offensive line win rate versus defensive line run stopping win rate. Big gap between that. Arizona, a really good run blocking team right now. So give me that trio also, especially with Edmonds' usage in the passing game and his ability to break those. So give me these 3 things right here. We're going to do that one for 25 also to win 150. Boom, bang, boom. There it is. There's our ticket. Underdog Fantasy. Use code ALSMIZZLE on your first deposit. Get 25 free dollars. Are those DK fantasy points? No, Underdog is half point. It's more like FanDuel scoring. No bonuses. Correlating seems sharp. Whenever possible, right? Same thing. Any viable unders? I hate unders. I'm not saying it's bad juju. It's just I don't like doing it. I don't like anti-sweating. Right? Even if your guy is like 40 yards short, if you have like I had Antonio Gibson last night, 93 yards over. Like, what if he busted like a 20-yard run late in the fourth quarter? You've always got a chance. With unders, like if you bet under on Saquon Barkley, he had that 41-yard run early in the game and he did like absolutely nothing else the rest of the night, you already lost. That sucks. You lost your ticket in the first quarter. Unders suck. I root for fun. So I bet overs. I like fun things. Unders hit a lot more? It depends. It depends if the lines suck. And typically, especially early, like on a Friday when we're setting these, the lines aren't like the sharpest. You know? These will move. You guys saw us do the one last week, and like we caught Jalen Hurts at like 265 rushing plus passing yards, and like it went up to like 295 and it still wasn't high enough by the time lineups locked. So like you can get in on the right side of history by filling out one of those cards early. Speaking of fun things, 38 and I wake up until Vegas. What? Oh, 38 and a wake up until, oh, nice. You're going to Vegas. You got Edmonds a full 5 yards lower just last night. Yeah, that line's low. Any thoughts on Ayuk with the news that he might be out of the doghouse? I don't know what to do with that. It's so up in the air. And here's the thing. On a slate where we have all of this known stuff, right? On a slate where all of these things are known. And yes, I understand that the situation is going to keep Ayuk at 5,500 low in terms of percentage. I get that. But is he reasonably, like the gap between his floor and his ceiling is so massive right now that I could just take somebody at a similar percentage in tournaments this week with a known amount of usage. So it's not like, well, everybody else is going to be 30% and I can't possibly find somebody who's under 10 or under 5%. And I have to go after Brandon Ayuk and Shanahan and all of his craziness right now. Right? There's so many plays that are going to be low. Would you rather play, chat, you guys can just, banter it up. Would you rather play Brandon Ayuk or Antonio Brown? Would you rather play Brandon Ayuk or Bobby Treese? Reverse Holo, thank you very much for the 3 months. Kirk plus Dalvin plus Osborne with a nuke run back. I don't hate it. Dalvin's involved in the passing game, but like not a ton. Like he'll get like 4 or 5 targets, like 3 to 5 targets. He's not CMC or Kamara. Osborne's the interesting one. Let's not box score watch here, right? Let's not game log watch here, but he got 9 targets in week 1 in a game where they were trailing a lot. The way that they have seemingly dealt with, and again, they were trailing a lot, and it's a 1-game sample size, but Osborne got an awful lot of snaps, right? He got an awful lot of snaps. And so the way that people are leaning is that in the absence of Irv Smith and with Kyle Rudolph gone to the New York Football Giants, that KJ Osborne is now going to play a ton more snaps every week moving forward and is going to have a really high floor of targets. Now that might be the possibility. That can certainly be a thing that happens. Or as they get another week in practice with Chris Herndon at tight end, they might run more 2 tight end sets like they have in the past with Conklin and Herndon, which would cut into the amount of 3 wide receiver sets that they played with Osborne. Now, if they get behind to Arizona, and as far as Vegas is concerned, they more often than not should project to be playing behind in this game, as they are 3.5-point dogs, but not like, they're not massive dogs. It's not like over a touchdown. It's not 10 points, right? But it is something to pay attention to, the amount that they could be down in this game, or if they'll be playing from behind. Even down by 3 or 7 or 4 in the second half means that you're going to be playing more snaps. They're going to be playing more snaps anyway because they're playing at Arizona, and Arizona's a high-paced team with as much as they throw the ball. So I don't hate Osborne. I'm more cautious with Osborne, I guess, is the way that I'm playing this. I don't think he is locked in for 7 to 9 targets every week. I think that we're going to see a couple weeks where he gets 3 or 4 targets. And people go, man, I thought that he got like 4 targets. What the hell? Why didn't he play the same amount of snaps that he played before? So like, yes, I think he's a value. No, he does not have to do much to warrant being played as a value play in a stack, or in a double stack, or as a bring back for an Arizona stack. But like, just understand that you're playing with a really small sample size of snaps, and like these 2 are the ones who are going to typically eat. Reasonable takes are not allowed. If you don't love him, you hate him. Yeah, that's what people always seem to think, right? Osborne or Ced Wilson? See, I prefer Ced Wilson. And I understand that a lot of people don't. But if I'm looking for a value wide receiver on a team that does tend to throw it, as I mentioned with Dak Prescott on multiple other shows, on the ESPN podcast that I do, in my article on ESPN, Dak Prescott, the last 5 games that he has been healthy, started and finished, right? Taking out the game where he snapped his leg in half last year. He's averaged 53 or something, whatever. Don't fact check me, but go read Best Buys. It's in there. He's averaged like 52 or 53 pass attempts a week. That's high. It's a lot. If he throws the ball 45 or 50 times and Ced Wilson gets 15% of the targets, which would be around where Gallup got, and looking at Gallup last week was 7 targets, and then Ced Wilson played the rest of the game with him, got the other 3 targets, that would basically be 7.5 expected targets. More expected playing time from Ced Wilson this week, as this game has the highest total on the slate and has risen 3-4 points since open. Yes, Cooper and Lamb are going to get targeted more than him, but Ced Wilson on the Cowboys playing as much 3 wide as they play gives you an opportunity. Again, harder to score fantasy points when you're holding your helmet on the sideline. He is going to be out there on the field. He is going to be running routes. And he's only 3,100 in one of the fastest paced, highest volume pass game offenses that exists in the league. If they throw it 45 to 50 times, between 6 and 8 targets are inbound. I'm not so sure that I can script Osborne for the same amount of usage confidently. I think there are worlds where Osborne can get 7 or 8 targets this week again. And I also think that there are many worlds where Osborne's going to get 3 or 4. And I don't know which one. So the difference between Ced Wilson's floor and ceiling of targets, or his floor and median amount of targets that he should get, versus Osborne has a much lower floor of possible targets when considering one versus the other. Like if you gave me an underdog rivals with just targets, Ced Wilson versus Osborne, I would take Ced Wilson's side every day. Can you stack Dak and Zeke? You can on volume, but it's not correlated. Especially this year with them saying that they wanted to and also showing in week 1 that they are going to play Tony Pollard more. Zeke will still have a really high volume of inside the 5 carries. Zeke will still get targets. He got 2 in week 1. What did Pollard get in week 1? Pollard at 5,300 got 4 targets in week 1. Gone are the days of Zeke playing 80+% of the snaps and getting 80+% of the running back targets and touches for the Cowboys. His workload's just going to be pared down a little bit. 65 to 70 is still really high in the new NFL. That's just reality. But it's not the 80 to 85%. The consistent 6 to 7 target games that Ezekiel Elliott saw 2 years ago are probably not there anymore. So his correlation with Dak is tough. But if they score 40 points, then yeah, both can eat on the same day. But you're going to need him to score 35 plus for that to happen. Gooner, thank you very much for the tier 1 sub. Appreciate you. Guys, that's going to do it for this week's show. I appreciate you guys being here. Make sure that you show up on Sunday morning on Twitch. All the links to all my socials and everything else are right down below. If you click show more in the description, join the listener league. It's going to fill, and it's going to fill early. Link for that and the discounted rates for ETR will be in the pinned comment. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.
He's a legend.